Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm a CEO, president, and founder of GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. A 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, your virtual assistant, one of the first generative AI companies that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GST that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. And with that, I've got an incredible guest today. I'd like to bring him on. Alex is a serial entrepreneur. He's located in Utah. He's gone from barista to velvet, and I want to talk about what that journey is like. Hey, Alex, how are you doing today?
Amazing, Gary. I got like I said, this amazing hibiscus. After coffee, you got to go into tea, man. This stuff's great for the heart. And yeah, I'm here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And you need heart health when you're a founder because everything's attacking.
So you went to University of Utah. You studied computer science. So, and then what was the journey like? You graduated in 2020, so not that long ago. How did you go from the barista? Then you were at Mocomotive. You did some production. How did you get to where you are? And I see that there's some ventures that like Maverick Ventures and Laissez-Faire Fund. How did you go from being a barista in a very short period of time going into being a fund manager?
Yeah, well, look, I've always been a nerd. I've also always been kind of one of those ADD Renaissance kids. Couldn't always figure out exactly what I wanted to do, but I know I wanted to do everything. So yeah, the only real job I ever had, real job meaning working for somebody else, I was at Starbucks. So I worked at Starbucks for about 2 years, I think like 14 years old to 16 years old or something like that. And, I got really passionate about meeting people there. Turns out you meet a lot of people selling coffee. Had a ton of fun with it. Didn't like working for somebody though. And I was always passionate about investing. My dad really kind of turned me on to the investment world at a young age. He was screaming at the computer screen when I was 5 years old. He built one of the, and I was like, oh, that's super cool. He built what was sort of like the first ATS for hedge funds, electronic trading systems for large fund managers, that they eventually sold to Citigroup. And so it's kind of always around that. And with my barista money, I'd put all my paychecks into investing. I was a gambler, like many 15-year-olds. And I kept putting, I was trading options. I got a Robinhood account. I was one of those early Wall Street bets guys. I was actually on a podcast with the Wall Street Journal talking about the whole culture as it evolved on Wall Street bets, into like the GameStop moment and all that. So I was doing a lot of that. I kept turning 1,000 into like 100,000 and back again, like a rookie. And eventually I started to learn from my mistakes. I started a video company to kind of fuel that same addiction. I was, did commercial video all around, would shoot weddings, company, corporate stuff.
How was that, Alex? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I loved it. I've actually always been passionate about film. I still have all my film gear. I get to do a little marketing stuff here now at Velvet, towards video. So yeah, I'm kind of a creative type. I'm a musician. I love film. I love the arts.
What kind of music do you play, Alex?
Sorry, what's that?
What kind of music do you play?
I play a little bit of everything, but I probably am categorized as a jazz guitarist, but I can play classic rock. I love all the classics. I love to shred. I did the Jimi Hendrix Star Spangled Banner at an LA family office party. I know you've attended some of those, and I was in the hills and I opened for Macy Gray. I had the whole like Jimi Hendrix jacket and everything. Much fun.
Great. That must have been fun, yeah.
Yeah, it was a blast. It was a big, I guess, like watershed moment for me too. It really kind of, I broke into the industry in a lot of weird ways, as I guess we're about to discuss. But yeah, I mean, so after the video company, I was still trading. I got into Bitcoin really early. I'm one of those 2014 Bitcoin guys. Really lucky on that, and I actually traded it through most of the cycles. Managed to not lose it along the way.
Oh, that's great! Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I've lost plenty, but I definitely didn't blow it all. That's for sure. It's a long journey, of course. And then, in college, like I said, I went to school for computer science. I started a coffee truck in college too. It was the transition from barista to owning my own business. And yeah, it was called Mochamotive, like you mentioned. We had like 100 customers a day. I got it at the University of Utah campus. Really lobbied for it as like a student-run business, and they let me up, and we killed it. I had like, I think 7 employees over the lifetime of the business, and just lucky I sold right before the pandemic. I sold it to somebody who picked it up, rebranded it, and then I used that to buy some dips, honestly. When everything came crashing down, and during the nights, I was going to school for computer science. In the mornings, I was trading, and I was tired of staring at the screen 24/7. I was trading futures, I was trading Bitcoin. I was up till like 4 a.m. all the time trading because I was just really passionate about it. It's fun for me. And I started to look ways to automate that. So I kind of bridged what I was learning in school and what I was learning outside of school, honestly, too, to automate my trading. So I started building like full automation across execution and risk management and back testing over and over. So to build a quant fund, I didn't actually mean to even build a quant fund. I just wanted something to trade for me, make money in my sleep. And I built a series of strategies that were doing really, really well. It took me a long time, about a year of testing stuff. And I came out with a strategy that was basically like a Bitcoin volatility reduction strategy. And it was compounding about 80% a year.
Well, that's
So now,
great.
yeah. Yeah. So this was kind of how I broke into the private markets. My friends and family are like, yo, this is great. We want to invest. So I learned how to spin up a fund, and I got all that set up, and it's done really well. I launched it at a really good time too. Bitcoin was about 3,800 per coin when I launched it in 2019, and the fund's done almost 13x like as of today. So around that same time in college, I meet my buddy Andrew. The other smartest guy I met in college, he was in my day traders club. So I was running this kind of like club to teach people about trading and maybe meet peers. Until him, I really hadn't met any peers, so it felt like I was teaching a class. And he'll describe it that way too. And Andrew's like, "Oh, I want to talk to that guy because he knows what he's talking about." And Andrew had built this T-shirt company and done amazing. I think he'd made like 100 grand by the time he was 17 or something. And he was he had this idea that he pitched me. He's like, "Dude, there's a bunch of guys like you I know who kill it. They make triple-digit returns, but they're not from Wall Street. They're not accessible. We don't know them." So he pitched me the idea of essentially Tinder for hedge funds. And that was the seed idea for what became Velvet, which I would say is entirely different than that now. But yeah, that was about almost 4 years ago now. And so we did the whole startup house thing together. I came on as a CTO, and I built the first product, which was sort of like, you could imagine it, this online portal where, serious investors could connect with private funds. And that expanded a ton over time. I could go into the whole Velvet story, but I don't want to rant, or happy to if you'd like me to.
No, I mean the thing is, so you're going down through it. So what did you see, Alex, going from university, starting Mocha? So if there, and there are a lot of folks all over the world, entrepreneurs watching my show, what kind of words of wisdom would you give them? What was the most important thing that for you helped you be able to have success? So if you look at what was that one thing that you had that other entrepreneurs need to have to be successful?
Well, entrepreneurs are crazy, right? And most of them share a common thread that, like, hey, I want to do something. I want to do something that's mine that I can build, and they're creative like that. The thing that got me through everything is being able to get beat the crap out of 100,000 times. I would say resilience is like the number one thing. So the coffee truck, like, I bought it in California. We used credit cards to buy it. It was like $7,000. We built it all out ourselves, hammer and nail for like a month over the summer, 100-degree weather in Utah. When I drove it home from California, it took us 25 hours to get home. It's not a 25-hour drive.
Oh my God, what happened?
I started it on fire. A mechanic checked it out in LA for us, or it wasn't LA, sorry, it was Northern California. And he didn't check the oil. So I'm in the Nevada desert at 5 a.m. We started the drive at night, and the gas, I had to leave the door open because the gas fumes were so bad. And the muffler was blown out. So when I stepped on the gas, it sounded like gunshots sometimes. It backfired. It's like a 1974 coffee truck. Um,
Yeah.
so, and I barely could drive manual at the time too. Like I had just been starting to learn manual, and I'm driving it through the Sierra Nevadas, and the wind's
Oh
blowing
my
this up.
God.
Uh,
Wow. That must have been
you
an
know,
experience.
yeah, we're like a couple, I think 18-year-old kids, and we're scared to death, man. I was scared, my headlights are going out. And then, yeah, my buddy Josh is driving behind me, who's actually now our CTO at Velvet, which is amazing. So he started the coffee truck with me, and he's driving behind me, and we're on the phone, and he sees some sparks. And I thought, he's like, I think you're dragging something. And then we realized it wasn't dragging something, but those sparks were coming out of the exhaust, and it turned into like this 4th of July shower going
Oh
all
my
up.
God.
Yeah, like a flamethrower. And so immediately turned the engine off. It smelled like something was dying inside. And
Wow.
just by chance, we were right by an exit on the freeway. So I roll into this abandoned gas station exit. We open up the hood, and it's glowing red. The engine block is glowing red. And we're
Oh
just
my.
like, but yeah, we're like, oh, we're screwed. It's over. We just blew $7,000, and we blew up our truck on the way home. We slept for like an hour, put oil in it in the morning, and somehow it was okay. It's fired back up. We drove it home. We were very cautious about it overheating for the rest of the trip. We had ice bags tied to the front of the radiator and stuff.
Oh
Just
my.
imagine a hot Nevada summer, right? And that was why we
Yeah.
were driving it too. Anyway, but eventually made it home, man. And then we pimped it out, and we had some mild success. It was fun, and it only happened because we were willing to wake up at 5 a.m. in the freezing cold and serve people coffee. The pipes would freeze all the time. Like everything could have gone wrong, and that's how business is. Everything goes wrong, but you figure it out anyway. And if you just keep figuring things out, stuff sticks, and you eventually win in that way. And it's not really about winning anyway. It's about having fun, creating value. Being able to create is like the greatest gift you can give anybody. So, like I'm so grateful to all of our investors who have believed in me. And I will continue to be resilient.
No, that's
So
good.
that's
And so you've gone down through the resilience is important. Obviously, when you had your truck, it looked like it was on fire. That must have been, you had to have a little resilience there for that thing, because I'm not sure you want to sit in a truck that's sparking like. In fact, I don't know how you didn't melt the engine, to be honest with you, if it's that hot.
cast iron. It's like a Corvette engine in those old things. So I guess lucky me.
Wow, that's amazing. So you did that. And then as you went down through it, so your journey, so resilience is important. How did you go down through as you were taking this journey, and as you're moving through the companies? What were the kind of lessons that you went down through and you did your Mocha, then you went to Real Video Productions. Now that was for corporations and individuals, right? To be able to commercial videos. So
Yeah.
how did you get started with that? Did you have a video background, or how was that?
No, it was actually my uncle. I was passionate about film, and I was always trying to do videos like I did it as a kid, like make little movies. But yeah, my uncle ran Real Video Productions first, and he had shut it down. He basically handed it off to me, gave me some camera gear, gave me the opportunity, which again, like the gift to create. I go back to that. I'm grateful for him to just give me that opportunity, and it allowed me to hustle. And I hustled around and made videos, and it was fun for me. I love the creative aspect of it. I love working with people, to like turn their ideas into videos. And yeah, I didn't really have a video background. You're right. So it's not just resilience. It's like the willingness to figure whatever out too. Problem solving. So I think you back yourself into a corner and you say, I'm doing this, and then you do it.
Well, you mean you don't have a choice, right? It's just like you did with the truck. You had to take a chance that thing would run, and if you didn't, you would have to get a tow truck to come and get it, and you're going to be, But you took the chance. And could you keep driving the truck after that, or did you have to get the engine repaired?
No, yeah, I drove it all the way home. I have no idea how we made it home, but it worked. It cooled off. We put oil in it, and we got it home. So, here's another interesting mental model that comes out of this is this backing myself into a corner thing. It means attaching your business to your identity. So I'm the coffee truck guy. I'm the video guy. I'm the private markets guy. you become that guy because you make your company your everything. It becomes who you are. So the worst thing that could happen is the destruction of the self to your brain, meaning you'll do anything to keep your business alive. And that's also what I see amazing entrepreneurs do. Not to say I'm the most amazing one, but I don't leave
No,
myself any
that's
outs.
true. I mean, the thing is, it's not about getting knocked down; it's about getting up. And I know when we
Exactly.
did Click Software, this little company from Israel, the market turned sideways, and we were scheduled to do an IPO on Nasdaq, and we did it. We did an analysis to look at what happened to companies that didn't do it, and most of them went out of business. So we said, there's not really a choice. We need to move forward because this thing could, get worse before it gets better. And we did it. It was a very successful IPO for the time, and but that's what it's all about. It's always about going out and having the faith. And remember, Scott McNeely, one of the founders of Sun Microsystem, told me always go to areas you fear the most because you're going to learn the most. And
Yeah.
and the entrepreneurs, they're willing to take risks in all kinds of situations because they know they're smart enough or believe they're smart enough to be able to come out of it. And then that's what happens, and it kind of sifts out who isn't smart doesn't keep winning, right?
Yeah. So my lead investor has an amazing model for this. And so I kind of look at that as like locus of control, right? How much do you believe in your ability to shape your reality, to shape what happens next? And like every entrepreneur needs that, right? The confidence and that locus that, okay, I can figure it out no matter what. I can pursue this idea relentlessly because, I'll be the one to figure it out. And so my lead investor, I don't know exactly what he does, but he's like he built an amazing company out of the Iraq War. It was, did lots of work in intelligence, information warfare, like psyops, like information extraction. And he took those concepts that he learned doing that. It was like a $300 million company. He took it back to angel investing in 2008, 2009 when he came back to the Bay Area. And he nailed First Check, Airbnb, Lyft, Wish.com, Angel List, all that stuff, like 17 unicorns, First Check. And he
Wow.
says it was all based on this mental model of extracting information from founders and then rating them on 32 different quantitative metrics, the type of person they are. Are they a founder that can actually go through with it to the very end? I'm sure resilience is one of them. I know their ability, like their belief in their own control, their confidence, but then he weights that against arrogance, right? Which can be a negative signal. But anyway, I don't know the exact details, but I thought it's fascinating the way he models only people. He barely looks at the products.
Yeah, there's, it's interesting, as a clinical psychologist, you look at them, we do too at GSD. What are the characteristics that founder has in order to be able to move forward? And, the other thing is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe something, it comes true. And so if you
Yep.
don't believe, and you have people sit on their hands basically, and they don't believe, they don't ever have a chance. I remember one time I had a lunch with, actually it was a late lunch with a guy who's a right-hand man of Rupert Murdoch. His name is Andrew Struginski. And Carl Page, and Carl, if you're listening, hello. Carl Page is Larry Page's brother. Anyhow, we had our late lunch, early dinner, and I was sitting next to Struginski, and I said, just like you, Alex, I said, what's one thing that entrepreneurs have in common? Because he told me he looked at 3,000 and he basically mapped them, like you said, the characteristics. And I said, what's one thing that sets an entrepreneur away from everybody else? And he told me amnesia. I said, what do you mean? He said, they never dwell on the past, never. They always talk about today and the future. And I thought that was fascinating because, all my billionaire friends that I have that have done, that have been successful, none of them talk about the past. They just don't use it. They only use it as a frame of reference. So part of it, it's like having boat anchors behind you and they're going to hold you back. We don't need those boat anchors. Go look forward. It ain't about the past. It's about the today and it's about the future. That's it.
It's so funny. So the password to our Wi-Fi at the office here, it's burn the ships. With the
Burn the ship.
reference to burning
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
ships behind you, right? There
yeah.
is no past, right? There's only what's ahead.
That's it.
Anyway,
And sometimes people get so
nobody
tied
hack
up.
my Wi-Fi. I might have to take that off now.
So you went down through and you've gone down through and you created Velvet. What was the idea behind Velvet? And tell us a little bit about where Velvet is today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, Andrew and I met in college, where many founders first find each other. And he pitched me Tinder for hedge funds. So what we were looking at, I think, with that problem is the access problem in private markets. And we didn't know, the gravity of what this is when we started, but I learned about it really quickly. It's not connected, and it's fragmented, and there's various players, various information, all in different places. And it's very club-like, right? It's cocktail hours, guys hanging out, introductions, referrals. Even Mark Andreessen will say it's high signal to actually a founder to get intro to me, because what that means is he was able to network through all the mess. It's the ultimate filter. He was able to get to me. So getting to me is a signal in a way, right? And a lot of venture investors think this way. Same problem in the hedge fund world, right? There's tons of upcoming traders all the time. And that was the first problem we tried to solve. We really moved into venture and private equity, that world, kind of in a natural, organic way. There was a lot of demand there. Venture funds, especially unique ones with differentiated strategies, were difficult to find, and emerging managers were popping up all over, especially in 2021, which is where we were really emerging as tech. So we went out. What that Tinder for hedge funds idea turned into was a marketplace. So you can imagine a sort of angel list, but for institutionally ready funds. Fund managers would come to us as a signal to raise capital online. Here's an automated way for me to build relationships with LPs and connect. Mm-hmm. And we love this idea of connection in one of the most fragmented markets, I'd say. And then LPs would come to us to source the top performing venture capital funds, because what we'd do is we'd invest all of our resources into getting the best funds, meaning doing all of the homework. We built an institutional grade diligence process based on the ILPA standards, and we'd filter out 80% of the funds that we came into contact with out. So over the course of the business, we vetted about 500 or so funds, the GPs, their strategies, and they'd give us all their data, we realized, to do this as if we were an LP. And then we essentially underwrite them, not literally, but Andrew and I became the youngest owners of a broker-dealer in history. We used that because we knew there was a ton of value in transactions. And GPs were willing to pay us a transactional fee.
And you still have your broker-dealer, yeah?
Still have the broker-dealer, yeah. In fact, our transactional business has really been taking off even in the last 3 months, which is great. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's tons of value in connecting market participants and then, of course, attracting capital to the right people who are doing the right things with it. And so to be clear, we were raising capital for funds online on an online marketplace. And LPs were coming to us to source the best performing funds, have all their data in advance, streamline their due diligence process. So those are there's two things we're solving there, right? There's the access problem, there's the information problem. There's very few standards of information in the private market. Every company is different. Every venture fund is different. It's very difficult to find out who to trust. That's why it's so referral based. So the third big problem is the trust issue. So all of these are.
Have you had problems with trust, or what happens? How did you understand that trust is important?
Yeah, I mean, as an emerging company, I think it was hard. Like our first 10 customers were a lot harder than our first 100 customers, right? But once I had signal, I built this amazing brand kind of unintentionally. So I started flying all around the world about 2 years ago. I went to all the conferences, and if I'm good at one thing, it's making friends. I like making friends, learning about people. And I used that. I got into a ton of the family office parties. I got into a lot of these conferences in these closed rooms that maybe I shouldn't have been in.
Does that help you, Alex, going into those meetings with those family offices?
Of course, yeah, because that's how you learn. The fastest way to learn, face to face, hearing what people think, how they look at the world. So I actually think of that as the ultimate growth hack, is getting in front of people as fast as you can, networking. And then I saw everyone was throwing all these events, and it was basically just creating all these network effects over and over. So I started doing the same thing, and I was able to throw about 32 LPGP events all across the US, and even in Asia, over those 2 years, and probably had, 3,000 plus attendees across all those. We'd do like a gala in Salt Lake. We'd van people up to Sundance, do skiing, throw a wicked party at the office, and just we never do any agenda. It was about bringing people together, building real relationships that were authentic. And this model was kind of disruptive because most of these guys are going to all these conferences and just getting pitched all the time. So it was nice to like create spaces where people could get pitched without getting pitched. They could just get to know people like in a real authentic way.
No, that's
And built
great.
a huge
You
brand.
had a nice party when we were out there. You had a nice
Yeah,
party. A really good party.
yeah, and then Gary, I can do better than that. I'm going to bring you to some of my good stuff soon.
No, that sounds
But
good.
yeah, always the invites there. But yeah, that's how I built the network. So suddenly all these people started coming to me because they're like, "Oh, I've heard of Velvet," and that was enough to close the trust gap. So to get back around to that question, so I still get about 12 intros a week to GPs that are interesting or LPs, and I build relationships with them. And I see if it's a fit. And since then, we've also expanded our software suite. So we build automation tools now for the investment process, as well as a marketplace to connect people. So that's kind of where it is today. We're coming up on $1 million in revenue now. I'm very excited. Not quite there,
Wow,
but very
that's good.
close.
Congratulations, man. That's amazing. So we're coming up to the top of the show, Alex, and we have entrepreneurs from all over the world. You know, we've done almost 900 shows now, and so we know we're reaching all over the world: Africa, Indonesia, Malaysia, all over. But closing thoughts for those entrepreneurs and investors, and what's the best way to reach you?
You know what? I usually respond to LinkedIn. I'm not a LinkedIn cold message ignorer. I love talking to people. Come find me at one of my events too. We often put them all over socials, announce them, and you know people can email me as well. I don't know if I should share my email on here or not, but happy to always
No, let's
respond.
just I don't want you to get inundated because we have a lot of people that are it's scaling up quickly. You might get inundated, but the LinkedIn profile, is that just under Alex Johnson? Is that the best way?
Yeah, it's Alex Johnson Velvet. I should come up. I've been around for a little bit, so
Okay,
yeah,
super.
yeah.
So Alex Johnson Velvet, and what's one thing you want to leave the audience with before we go?
Never stop trying new things. Always
Never
throw
stop.
darts.
Love that.
Yep.
Love that, man. It's perfect. Yeah, you're a great guy. I'm really happy that I got to meet you out there. Look forward to getting together with some of your events and some of the things we have. To all my audience out there, thank you for joining one more time. GSD presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back to you again on Thursday with another exciting edition. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and take care of yourselves. Thank you.